We now proceed with the last session for today. Our discussion is on the topic tech-driven innovation, inclusion, and trust. I would like to invite our moderator, Vivek Belgavi, Partner Financial Services Advisory Leader, PwC India, and our esteemed panelists, Sandeep Kedia, CFO, Aditya Birla Health Insurance, Suhail Ghai, Chief Digital Officer and Head of Customer Operations, Axis Max Life, Gaurav Sharma, Deputy General Manager, New India Assurance, and Jitender, Bahri, Head P&C Solutions Operations, Swiss Re.
Good evening, everyone. I know this is the final session of the day. I've got, I think, two jobs. One is to ensure everyone is awake and energized and definitely see it's worth your while. So I thought, while I introduce the panelists and get on with the session, as I was thinking about the session, I thought I'll leave two thoughts which came to my mind. The topic for us is around technology, innovation, trust, and inclusion. And I was thinking of the topic, thinking what's the example which all of us can relate to and what we have seen. And the idea which came to my mind was something like a UPI, right? So how many of us, when we do any kind of a transaction, have stopped for a second and have said, well, will this go through or not, or whether do I trust it? So within a decade, it really absorbed us into the trust aspect of it. It was innovative, enabled by technology, and it is something which has been truly inclusive and all of us touch and feel. And probably for me, that's a reference role model of, I know it's a digital public infrastructure and all of us are working in our own domains, but that's one good example of where trust, technology, and innovation truly come together. The second was, as you would be aware, that some of you would have tried it within the last 24 hours, we have had the next version of ChatGPT. It has been launched, GPT-5. As I've had many conversations in the industry on, and today we can't have a conversation on technology and innovation without thinking about generative AI. And one of the things which comes with generative AI is what will happen to jobs and jobs across the board. So there I thought I'll share the second piece which I read recently called the Jevons Paradox. Anyone here has heard of the Jevons Paradox? He was a British economist in 1865. This was a time like post-industrial revolution. And the heart of the paradox is that wherever the technology improvement happens, one does feel that it will have constraint on resources. Things will be consumed less. But the paradox is wherever the innovation is happening, the consumption actually increases. So around the time when industrial revolution was happening, there was a consumption of coal. But when steam engines came in, instead of coal being reduced, the consumption of coal increased. So I thought that was the second paradigm to keep in mind as we look at it, especially considering our insurance penetration is in single digits, whichever we cut it. So while there could be a threat of efficiency and jobs and such in the short term, but I do think that paradox is a paradigm to kind of think through. But without further ado, let me just kind of dive in. Maybe I'll start with you, Suhail. You have led the digital customer journeys at one of the largest private life insurers. What role is GenAI playing in reimagining the way insurers serve customers from onboarding to claims? And can you give us a glimpse of one high-impact digital transformation you have led?
So, Vivek, thank you for this opportunity. I think for the last few years, most of the insurers have been using the traditional AI. Today, I think in our industry, all the good insurers will typically have 70 to 80% of their non-medical, underwriting portfolio being auto-underwritten through an AI models. I think with GenAI, it gives you a very good opportunity. So one of the big areas we are using is, we run a complex product. And many times, the same product means different to different people based on their needs. So today, thanks to GenAI, we actually created a sales genie, and which is actually able to read through all the documents and the customer's profile and create a custom pitch for that customer. So what you're trying to do is understanding the customer's need, taking the best of the product and doing this. So this is helping, especially in an area where we have attrition in this industry and a complex product. This helps. Second big area is their customer interactions. Many of our customers are still write to us emails. Today, 30% of our emails are auto answered by GenAI bots, right? You look at now the customer service. That's the next thing we are doing now, where use the conversational interfaces. You are able to solve a large percentage of customer calls, human interacting. We look at the customized marketing content. That's another. How can you create marketing content in-house and more customized at the cohort? 80% of the marketing content gets created internally through Gen AI. We look at claims, the fact that we are able to service 57% of the claims instantaneously in life industry. That is thanks to your abilities of Gen AI to read through documents, compare things, validate things so that you don't need an intervention. So if you ask me, it's an endless. You look at investments, you look at employees, a virtual HR business partner. I think when we look at across the value chain, Gen AI has a role to play everywhere. We are seeing a huge benefit coming in the areas of underwriting. Ability to explain to a customer his medical records. Medical records are a TPS sends you a list of things. How do you give somebody a health card? I think that is the power of Gen AI. Simplicity in a complex product is where it's really helping us.
A quick follow-through on this, since we just touched upon Gen AI and maybe for the broader audience. How do you differentiate the use of Gen AI versus the use of AI? I think that's useful to get that in place.
So the traditional use of AI was the backend. We always say Gen AI is the UI the AI never had. So AI was always at the back end. AI wanted to make you smarter. So what was AI doing? AI was running models at the back end. So as you were filling your proposal form, AI was running fraud checks, AI was running your income estimation, AI was doing financial underwriting, AI was figuring out the parameters, but it was never at the front end. I think what Gen AI gives you power of summarization. And I think the power of personalization, which probably you never had with the traditional AI. And the way it can be, presented back, and the simplicity presented back to a customer or to any user, I think that's the whole power which Gen AI brings in.
Perfect. Very helpful. Jiten, I'll move on to you. Swiss Re is at the forefront of product innovation and risk modeling globally. We have interacted and we have seen the innovative work which is happening out of your centers in India. From a reinsurance lens, what innovation in tech, maybe such as parametric insurance, IoT, climate models, any of these, what do you think, or anything else, what do you think is more relevant for India's evolving risk landscape?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So I think we are always been, we are 160 years old company. We survive because we've always been innovative. And we are always, right now also we are in front of innovation. And I'll give few more examples. I think parametric you already mentioned. I'll give you an example about one of our, Swiss Re is a reinsurer, but we have a big division of commercial insurance. It's like around $8 billion of underwriting premium. We actually, last year in fact, when the whole Gen AI thing is going on from last 3-4 years, we actually created a product for commercial property claims using Gen AI, which primarily is helping behind the scene. What happened in claims? Typically when claim comes, either mail comes, a document comes, all the artifacts keep coming, and then we have a manual human going through them trying to understand it is right or wrong. We actually created a Gen AI solution because we have 40,000 odd policies come for claims every year. I'm talking about a commercial insurance standpoint. We actually have created this product which automatically starts running on all these artifacts. Now, in last 1.5 years, I have seen some of the data, which is, I'm saying that because this is publicly available. Almost 1,000 alerts of fraud has been coming out from that Gen AI integration and reading of all those artifacts which are coming out. I think that's phenomenal. Something which we can do it so quickly, because see, end of the day, I always believe that Gen AI is not going to remove completely humans out of the loop, right? When these alert comes, obviously some humans has to validate. You can't just keep doing that, right? Another interesting innovation I'll talk about, which we really are doing big time. Many of you have heard the name Life Guide Scout. It's again a very famous it's a manual for life and health insurance side by Swiss Re. This product also has got a Gen AI integration already done, which basically means any insurance company who is writing life and health insurance can actually talk to this life guide, which means you can put a prompt, and prompt, I'm sure you all know what happens in LLM models. You can put prompts, it goes through section-wise, which section you want to get the data, and it can give you the answer. The third thing I'll quickly talk about you, which is again, we are very focused. See, with all the temperature rising in the world overall, we are seeing a lot of flood problems coming in the market. We are actually super focused on the flood models at this point of time, and these flood models are so powerful, they actually can tell you the risk of that specific longitude, latitude, in terms of how it can help in writing that risk. So saying that, like three simple example I gave, and obviously we wanted to continue be in the forefront of innovation.
Interesting. Maybe a follow through for the panel on this and this segment on innovation. Do you think as an industry we are moving fast enough? Or is this the fair pace, knowing the constraints that we have and the kind of business models that we have? And this is an open question. Quick reactions from people across the panel.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. So when we say, are we assimilating or are we adopting technology fast? At least to my mind, yes, we are in the process of assimilating and adopting technology. See, there's no option if you ask me, right? Either you are a follower or you are a leader. And organizations have to choose whether they want to be follower or leader. And the country is vast. Opportunity is immense. The kind of solutions that are required are also immense. So every single thing has a use case in our country. And at our scale, we can definitely put it to better use. So to my mind, we are all adopting technologies to the best of our ability and to the best of our strength of our balance sheets.
I think in all humbleness, as I compare to some of the new age industries, I think while we are doing it, we can do faster. Now what's stopping us is that how do we better modernize our legacy systems? How do we create data platforms? Because ultimately, you have to impact customer. And third, how do you upskill people and drive change management? How we sell is thousands and thousands of people who sell or distributors ecosystem. How do you also manage change, upskill them? I think that's equally important as we go through this path.
I'll just quickly add one thing on this adaptation part of it. I personally, and it's my personal opinion, I think if the CEO of the organization puts the data and technology on the decision-making chair, it basically means Chief Digital Officer. I mean, you are on the seat with the CEO of the organization, that itself give you the answer, right? That this is the prime important thing.
Fair enough. Gaurav?
See, speaking from New India's point of view, we are a largest general insurance company. For a company of our size, to adapt to emerging technology, it takes a lot of change management. So that is where we are trying to balance it out. But I think we are very clear that digital transformation that we are going to implement, it's going to be a big way, and we will be adopting emerging technology in the near future in a very, very big way.
Makes sense. I was just reflecting on the previous panel as well, and considering the nature of this industry is not at some level pure B2C. Like, there's a big role the intermediaries play into it. That also, I think, plays a part in terms of adoption. If it is, I gave an example of UPI, right? It's a D2C product, like you give a good technology or e-commerce. So whenever it's that direct to consumer, probably there is that natural structure of an industry which also plays a role in addition to whatever else I think the panel.
Vivek, I just need to add one thing here.
Yeah, Sandeep.
See, the way we've been looking at technology is the way we're looking at it as a function, right? Those days are past us. Technology is horizontal. To my mind, there will be no tech functions going forward, and every function is a tech function. And if this mindset is not existing, then you are not accepting technology, you are not adopting technology. You are just a follower.
Absolutely. One of my clients told me that the consumer will now become the producer. Like what you used to think earlier, that technology is sitting somewhere producing something and everyone else is consuming. But to your point, Sandeep, probably consumer becomes the producer. But quickly moving on to you, Gaurav. New India, we all know, it plays a crucial role in government-backed schemes. But from your experience, how can technology help deepen penetration in rural and underserved segments while keeping costs viable? And you're best placed to probably start with that conversation.
Thank you, Vivek. I think it's a very interesting question, but very relevant for present times. See, first of all, yes, and an emphatic yes, because New India has always been on the forefront of supporting all the government initiatives. So, in fact, whenever country is facing any complex, difficult, or a challenging scenario where an insurance solution is to be worked out, I think the first call comes to New India. And that is how important we have been in implementing those schemes. So it doesn't just stop at the, say, large mass health insurance scheme. It is full spectrum. So if a niche solution is to be required, like satellite insurance, New India was the pioneer. And if it comes to that, RI support is not coming from the international market for any reason. Say after 9/11, terrorism was not available from international market. New India played a pivotal role in working with its partner, whether it is GIC and other industry leaders, to form domestic market pools, whether it is terrorism pool, nuclear liability, or as recent as marine cargo excluded territory pool, when Ukraine-Russia war happened. So the spirit in New India has always been anything for India. So that with that spirit being there, we have been there forefront and we will continue to be there. Coming to the technology part. So I think India as a country and as an economy is at inflection point. We are the fourth largest economy. Whatever be the bumps and the trumps, we will be the third largest economy very soon. That being said, but that doesn't make us a developed country. Maybe Mumbai is comparable to London, but rest of the country a lot to catch up. So that is where I really feel that we need to touch that last mile. So there come governments, basically the vision in 2047, we should be a developed nation. And a necessary corollary to that is that there should be insurance for all. We need to reach that last mile and cover their protection gap. So in terms of that protection gap, so it's not just finding a right product at the right price. It is reaching to that level, including them and generating trust amongst them. So I think two of the industry sectors have done it. Telecom sector has done it. So the kind of revolution they have undergone, they have touched each and every corner of the country. So whether it is the capex cycle Airtel or Jio has done or Vodafone is undergoing, they have touched each and every segment. And when we talk of UPI movement in the banking, which probably we need to replicate, I think both the sectors have laid enough foundation for us now to build a particular UPI moment for insurance sector. As Geja ma'am was mentioning about Bima Trinity, so Bima Sugam will be a marketplace where we'll have end-to-end transactions. So at the last mile, if they are giving a health policy and a life policy and I am giving a non-life policy, the customer will be confused. So we need to give them a composite product, one-stop solution. So Bima Vistar being there. Third part is that how will we reach there? Whether technology itself will be sufficient, I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, there has to be someone speaking to them in their language. So I think after the basic human needs of roti, kapra and makan, it is protection that matters. And it is the Nari Shakti that probably understands it better. So that is why Bima Vahaks, which is more of a women-centric movement, that is being deployed. So this is more of a government or a regulatory push into this. But is this something that will stop at? I think there is enough merit and enough motivation for all industry players to go well beyond and above it. I think we can innovate in product, whether it is parametric, because New India has its own launched product, Nishchit Suraksha, where it is moving from indemnity to trigger based. And then there is a generative AI, then there is various other technologies which we can leverage. I'm sure this insurance for all in 2047 is not just aspirational, it's actionable, it is achievable. So we are optimistic about it.
Great. Just a quick follow through, if you don't mind, Gaurav. We could touch upon the affordability, especially as we get into the inclusion story and get into the Bharat segment. Affordability becomes the key because we know that channel cost is a key driver for us. How have you, product is one view, but from a channel perspective, how technology has been used in channels for ensuring it becomes affordable?
See, I think affordability is something which we have to be very careful about because at the end of the day, the last mile person that we are going to deal with, that segment is very price sensitive. So we need to provide the right solution for their need and the pricing has to be kept in mind. So this digital transformation may be a little cost heavy. So, but then we have to spread it across the years and across the geography and across the people. We have to make it workable for them. And in the medium term, we will recover last penny also. So I think we should not hesitate in investing there.
And I think we'll probably just, we can have a follow-up on it. We don't have enough time today, but part of generative AI, which is not spoken enough, in my mind at least, is its impact on code generation. I know many of us are doing the small pilots, but what we are seeing it coming through, some of the early peaks we have seen is it really drastically cutting down tech deployment cycles. So to your point, as that becomes affordable in different circles, there are questions happening on what will happen to SaaS, because if I can quickly develop any technology workflow so quickly, then why would I want to buy a product at all? Like some of those things also will, I think, have a next game changer on cost effectiveness, digital programs. But moving to Sandeep, you, I think, continuing on the inclusion agenda, Aditya Birla has been working on wellness linked and OPD linked products. How do you balance innovation and affordability to reach, especially middle and low income groups, and can expand on the theme, but really inclusion, affordability, innovation, how do you balance this trinity?
So Vivek, very nice question, and a question which is very close to at least the way we operate. See, traditionally, the way we've always heard about insurance, or insurance has always been sold as a fear-based product. And the entire universe of insurance was limited to IPD. And at least at Aditya Birla Health, we believe that this is not the right model, which is, when we say right model, it means to our mind, it's not a sustainable model. And that is where we believe that wellness is at the core of our health insurance model. If your customer is healthy, or you can drive a healthy behavior for your customers, it makes economic sense for everyone involved. The customer is healthy, the company is healthy, and it's a more sustainable model. Now, how do you ensure that you expand this ecosystem? So the current ecosystem limited to only IPD, so that is where we said we want to increase the entire ecosystem, and that is where we are looking at more products which are OPD based, which are wellness based, whereby the usage of the customer increases. So when you said, how do you ensure that, we are able to reach and make the products more relevant? So are our existing products interesting enough for the customers? So there are two aspects to it. A, do the customers find value in your products? And B, are they at a right price point for the various cohorts in the industry? So when we say, are they relevant? So as you keep on increasing the universe and make it more a user-friendly product, right, which we typically call the usage model versus the breakage model. Breakage model is typically referred to where you don't want the customer to use your product. So once you start giving benefits which are wellness benefits, OPD benefits, you are making the customer use the product. And that is where he finds more value to your product. And that is how you increase the relevance of the product. Now when it comes to the price point, so this is typically in the industry what we call as the missing middle. So there is a huge customer base which is above the poverty line, but our products do not appeal to him because of the price point at which we are offering to them. So to my mind at least, with the advent of tech and our ability to deliver these products can then be available at a price point which attracts those customers. See, insurance typically has always been an intermediated industry. So you will find, that distribution costs form a significant portion of the cost of the product. As with technology comes into play and we are able to sell these products direct to the customers, our ability to price these products at a point which makes the products attractive and at scale, this is what, to my mind, will deliver value to the customer and the right price point to the customer. So the entire paradigm has to shift. Say, government is doing its part, right? Be it the Bima Sugam, the Bima Trinity, and everything. But are we doing our part? Can tech lead the way? Answer to my mind is yes, tech can lead the way. We'll have to build innovative solutions to deliver the product, be it technologically, be it D2C, or where it is intermediated, it has to be at such scale and at such price that it starts making affordable sense to the customers. And this significant customer base, so it's close to 40 crore people which are referred to as the missing middle. And if we are able to crack this business model, then it's 2x the business model at which we are currently sitting. So the entire responsibility is on the industry as to how do you find a product which will make sense to them. I'll just give a simple example. Other day one of my friends called me, right, that he wants to have a product for his house help. And of course he is going to pay the premium. But are you able to give him a product which excites him to buy it for his house help? It may be a no-frills product. But is that solution available in the market? So to my mind, we all have to apply our collective minds to get this kind of a product which is viable for the customer. And it is only this that can, actually lead to insurance for all, right? So government can do its bit. It can create infrastructure, it can create ideas. But the solution has to be from the industry. So that's my view on that.
Great points. The next segment we wanted to really dig a little deeper was around trust, and it had many facets of trust when it comes to technology, innovation, so on and so forth. Maybe I'll just go and change the format a bit, go across the room a little bit and take your individual views, maybe starting with you, Suhail. And there's a common question to all, I'll come to it, which is, what does trust mean to you and your organization in a tech and innovation space? What maybe one facet you can cover?
I think life insurance industry is the end as much as you can be able to trust. Because, here, most probably you will not see the claim if it ever comes, right? And you're going to sue something all your life, you're going to pay premiums for an event which may occur or may not occur, and if it occurs, you won't be there. Now, in a scenario like this, today, what does trust mean? Trust means is that, am I selling right to the customer? And I think there, digital plays a key part. I think all industry is doing, creating videos of the products you are buying, explaining and simplifying their product, doing digitally, they're adding to point verifications, making sure people understand what they are buying. I think that is one big area of digital is helping through. Second is, as I said, ability to explain your product. Today, thanks to our ability and, using GenAI and bots, we can speak, most of us can, are dealing with 9 languages, 13 languages. You're able to reach people in their language, explain them, they can do transactions with you. I think finally is the big part is how do you technology help you secure your data. I think we have an industry which works with intermediaries, which works with third parties. There is data, how do you maintain that and save this, right? So I think if you look at the entire chain, technology plays a big part in making that trust. And finally the claims, I think that is the biggest thing. How do you ensure the claims get processed on time and you are able to effortlessly, seamlessly, give the money to the nominees. I think that's also where technology plays a big part today.
Fantastic. Maybe picking you, Jiten.
So I think for a reinsurance organization, trust works a little differently because we are B2B, we are not B2C where consumer is directly involved, right? So from my standpoint, if I see the trust for a organization has multiple facets. First is how financially we are strong, which means if large catastrophe is happening, can we really help? We call ourselves a company which is resilience, create resilience in the market. Can we kind of do that, right? That basically tells me, it's a strong financial organization, right? Insolvency ratio. That's the first part of it. Second part of it, what am I contributing in terms of sharing the models part, which we are very good at? I think that's where sharing information to the industry enhance the trust. I'm sure many of you have read the Sigma reports we publish very frequently globally. I think that's where the trust factor starts coming in. Third thing I also feel, whenever there is a large catastrophe, so I think I was reading about some of the big events, like when the hurricane happened in US, there is a big earthquake happened in New Zealand in 2020, 2021. After those large incidents where insurance obviously can't pay everything because there are insurances involved, how these companies come and help them and then continue to write in that area, I think that's where the trust factor comes into picture.
Very, very interesting. And I'm suddenly realizing the variety of businesses we have on the table is just giving such different dimensions to what trust means. But Gaurav, coming to you.
See, New India has a legacy of 107 years. And it is reflected in the journey that we have had. And not just that we are systemically important insurer as recognized by ACII, which in common parlance means TBTF, like too big, too important to fail. So we understand our responsibility and we have to live up to our legacy and the journey of the trust. So trust is fundamental to us. And that is reflected in very many industry papers that comes out, that who settles the more claims and who settles the quantum of claim. It's not just the number of claim, but in terms of the claim being settled. So trust is very fundamental to us. So while we will be undertaking this digital transformation, that value system will be reflected. We'll be keeping a close eye on this, that when we are implementing technology, when we are using generative AI, that value system should not be compromised. So if there will be any gaps, those will be continuously looked into and acted upon. So that is how we see it.
Super. Sandeep?
The contract of insurance itself is a contract of utmost good faith. Correct. And to my mind, your offering is nothing but a promise, right, which you've made to the customer that in terms of a particular situation, we'll be there to fund you. And it is at this assurance that the customer has bought a product from you. And at least to my mind, if you have sold a service or if you sold a benefit to the customer, and the expectation from the customer is to ensure that he gets that benefit at the time of his need. And this to our mind is paramount of this entire product. And if we are not able to meet the customer expectations at that point in time, then as an insurance company, we've not done, or we've not been able to communicate to him, or we've not been able to do justice to his expectation. So there will be always instances where customers may come back and tell you that, okay, this is not what I had expected, and I had not read the contract or something of the other sort. But the fact is that you were there when he needed you most. And unlike life insurance, right, our customers actually experience our products. So every individual who's bought a policy usually gets a chance to experience the product, because it's a morbidity claim over a period of 3 to 4 years. You tend to visit an hospital, and our entire premise of the model is that you use our model. You use our annual health checkups. I've just seen the board that we put up. There's a digital scan, right? The digital scan is also a usage of the model, right? So the more you use the model, the more you experience us. And that is the way I look at it, that how do we ensure that we are able to make the customer use our model and experience us? And if his experience is something which he likes, then only he'll continue to be with us. Otherwise, he'll not be with us.
Lovely.
Vivek, I want to add a very interesting point of view on this. So in one of the conversation, somebody asked this question about reliability of a software. And the example which I tried to put there, one of the leader actually put that very interesting example, that if I enter a dark room and if I press a button, I expect light to be on. That's trust, yeah? Because I know if I'm going to press the button, light is going to come. I think for the insurance industry, that button is a claim. And I think if that button pressing gives me the right outcome of the expectation of that claim, I think that's where the trust starts.
Absolutely. As everyone was speaking, I was just reflecting on the fact that sometimes the events or transactions which are a lot more frequent, like flipping of a light switch, gives you a better sense of the trust because you get an instant feedback. Similarly, we spoke about UPI, because you do a transaction, if it works, it knows that, it gives you a feeling of trust on a daily basis. But claims is a one-off event. And probably that's the aspect, and I think as an insurance community, we have been thinking through maybe probably other proxies for trust, because you will have it that only at that point in time, it's not a frequent event, probably that infrequent event. How to continue with trust in an infrequent event is the key, but since the industry is growing and consumers have faith, so something is working, but probably that's the point to kind of dwell upon. But thank you so much for the conversation. I thought we'll give some time if there are any questions. We were able to cover a host of topics, starting with tech and innovation, some interesting examples we heard. Inclusion is an important agenda, especially for a country like us. And again, thank you so much, Gaurav and Sandeep, for sharing some of the insights there as well. And lastly, this whole conversation on trust, which I also personally feel becomes even more critical as we get into more and more digital-enabled world, and especially Gen AI-enabled world. And soon we heard about Gen AI writing emails, and soon our customers will be using Gen AI to respond to your emails, and that it's going to be a very interesting world out there, and this element of trust becomes even more critical. So on that note, I'm happy to open it to the audience. If there are any questions for the panelists, we are happy to pick that up. The last session, I thought there was a lot of interaction. I thought this audience wants to talk, so I thought let me reserve 5 minutes to give some time for the audience.
Hello, sir. So, my name is Yash Dabi, and I'm from the Lordsmark Insurance Broking Services. So, basically, as we are talking about the Gen AI and the AI in insurance sector, so as a emerging technologies like AI and blockchains, so how AI basically premise the promising the efficiency basically. So. But how can the industries like insurance ensure the ethical use of customer data to intuitive and maintain the trust in the customer? So,
Good question. Anyone wants to pick that up?
So there are two facets to your question. One obviously is that data belongs to the customer. So how do you, and I know now that there's a regulatory framework around this, is how do you ensure that the customer has complete control over his data, how his data is being used? I think that is the first thing. Therefore, how do you anonymize the data? How do you ensure that data is only used with his or her consent? I think that is one angle to it. The second part is this, that even when you use data, and a lot of us do use data for finding analytics, maybe even from simple thing like pricing or mortality rates, everything is based on data. How do you anonymize much of this? And I think that's another big thing is that, so I think this is one area. And lastly is that when you pitch to the customer, it should be with his content, with his consent. You don't want to be intrusive to the customer, and because we are not here selling vegetables, we are selling a serious financial product. So how do you do that? I think the combination of two or three things are important to create your trust. And finally, how are you able to retain everything, run in a secure way and in a resilient way? That's the last part of the chain.
I can add a little bit on this. So I think if you look into the insurance as an industry, it's highly regulated, right? And there is no scope of any creep in the data aspect of our customer. There's out of question. And in different conversation at the leadership level, we always speak about it. And the only thing which we always think about it is that when we are talking about Gen AI implementation, and I gave you a few examples also what we are doing it, none of them, if you see, is direct correlation of a customer data. What we are talking about, any Gen UI use cases also, we are going in the direction of either agentic, which is agents which are doing automation work for kind of supporting the customer. The activities which are not related to exposing customer data. Last part I also want to add, which is very critical for all of us, is if I have seen the industry, insurance industry is never in forefront of technology. They're little laggers. They come slow and steady and then start implementing things. I am not seeing it anything different happen in Gen AI world as well. We will see much more Gen AI example or use cases happening in other industry and then insurance company. And this is my opinion. I know very senior leaders are here, but I have seen that we are super cautious because data is so important for all of us that we cannot break the trust of our customers.
thank you so much, sir, for this.
One more. Till that mic goes there, for everyone who's been experimenting with Gen AI and LLM models, most of the LLM providers, they understand this concern coming from this industry, so they are giving an option for zero data retention. So if you use an LLM model, the data doesn't get retained. So I mean, there are guardrails like that also which are coming into play as we. Yeah.
Hi everyone. I'm Snehal Divekar from Aditya Birla Health Insurance. So my question to panelists is, we have spoken about Gen AI, right? So how do we ensure that the adaptability is across all the segment? And when I'm saying all the segment, it could be, the Gen Z to elderly population. So how do we ensure the adaptability? Second part is very crucial, and we have spoken throughout the day about the awareness, right? So around 3%, the penetration of insurance is just 3.8%. How do we ensure that this penetration is significantly increased, and the communication what we are doing and awareness what we are creating, it is going across all the segments, whether it's a rural or urban, whether it's a younger population or elderly population. Yeah, thank you.
See, of late we have seen that insurance industry itself is also doing certain active advertisement. We have heard of mutual fund sahi hai for a very long time. But now Insurance Liya Acha Kiya has also started making nuances in the right customer segment. But as you rightly mentioned, there are different customer segments, and it is not a generational change that we are seeing. In fact, the generational change is happening every 2 years. So that is where we need to look at, we need to study those customer behaviors. We need to tailor our products to suit their respective needs. So that is where technology kicks in. So generative AI will help us understand the customer behavior, their choices, and their requirement. Pay as you go is somebody who doesn't drive for more than 1,000 kilometers. Why should he pay for an average premium? So similarly, we have to work those solutions across LOBs. I am sure technology is going to help us tailor our products to suit the individual needs of those customer segments.
If I may add on, I'll refer to what Suhail mentioned a little when we started the conversation. Generative AI, and these are early days, and based on my experience of working with different clients, this never rang in the previous session.
Yeah, I know, first time I'm hearing this.
Yeah. So, but we'll just finish with this thought that generative AI has become a UI on top of AI. And that's a, if you stick on that point, and that's a very powerful one, because if you see a consumer trying to engage with an insurance company today, has different channels, and including the insurance sellers themselves, today there is a language by which we are speaking. But as generative AI comes on top of it, makes it more conversational for us to engage and understand and compare and not get into jargon, and probably you can now tomorrow have a Gen AI solution which is talking the way you want to talk, maybe in your language, maybe in your, like a Gen Z language versus a senior person's language could be a little different, right? So that customizability of communication is truly coming in. And as that becomes widespread, I'm more optimistic, and of course, some campaigns like that will surely help. But on that note, thank you so much. I know there were one or two more questions, but maybe the last
question,
one. Maybe we'll take
one
the last
question.
Yeah, sure.
So do insurance companies provide cyber cover for crypto assets and crypto exchanges in India today? And if yes, how? If no, why?
We don't have any regulator in the room right now, so probably that's the reason the answer is no. I mean, we are aware it is still frowned upon by the regulations, so it's still not an open market for that. There's no open market there. There is no one to cover the risk, right? So probably that's where the conversation would be at. Is that fair? Yeah. All right, thank you so much. It was an engaging conversation. Loved having this. I know there are one or two more hands, but some of us would be around, so feel free to have a conversation with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, panel. It was
Thank you so
lovely.
much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for that insightful discussion. I now request our Director General, Mr. Sandeep Khosla, to please present mementos to our panelists and moderator as a token of appreciation. Vivek Belgavi. Sandeep Kedia. Suhail Ghai. Gaurav Sharma. And Jitender Bahri. I'll request all the panelists and moderator for a quick group photo. A round of applause for our panelists. I invite our Director General, Mr. Sandeep Khosla, to please deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Utkarsh. So for our insurance for a wonderful session was to keep any amount of Sandeeps in all the panels. So, and that's why it was a big success, and the winding up also is being done by Sandeep. So thank you all for being here, for this wonderful session on for our insurance conclave. I would like to once again thank Praveen Vaisisht, our chairman of the insurance committee, for putting this together, Amit Roy and the PwC team for helping us with this. Our sponsors, title sponsor New India Assurance, premier sponsors Lockton and Axis Life Insurance, and co-sponsors Live Long 365, Beacon Insurance Brokers, and Aditya Birla Health Insurance. This wouldn't have been possible with their help and support. Bombay Chamber has been, as I said during my welcome address, at the forefront of driving change, looking at how much we can influence the best practices which needs to be followed. We regularly liaison with the government as well as the regulators. In fact, a couple of months back, we had Mr. Tripathi in our office, who's a broker, looks after brokers as far as IRDA is concerned, for interaction with brokers. And we would shortly request Praveen to speak to Deepak Sood to get him to our office so that we can have a similar interaction. Our taxation committee recently met up with the parliamentary committee led by Mr. Panda for inputs on the tax bill, and it was very warmly received. And today the bill has been withdrawn because a lot of changes which the Bombay Chamber has proposed are going to be seriously looked at. So on a regular basis, we've been doing this, a lot of advocacy both with the regulators as well as with the government. I would request you all to join in, all those who are not members to join Bombay Chamber and be a part of this, regulation, be a part of what can be done so that the entire industry benefits. And as we move into a different era for insurance, with your help, Bombay Chamber can really start drafting a lot of policies which will help the industry as a whole, but also very importantly the general public, people like me who today look at 5, 6 or 7 different types of insurances and how does one consolidate that. I just got a message from my society group that let's also do some building insurance for something which I had never heard of. I'm still trying to look at how that can be done. So I told them there are enough experts here and I'll speak to them. So be a part of Bombay Chamber, help us in whatever to be done. I would also like to thank our media partners, Business Standard, who has regularly supported us in a lot of our ventures. So thank you once again, and please join us for cocktail dinner, and over that we could take this discussion forward. Some of the questions which were asked and not answered could be done there. So thank you once again, and please come here and have a lovely weekend, and happy Raksha Bandhan to all of you in advance.